just making this up.
All right, back on the Young Turks. Now, very important here. Let me see if I got my, yes, I've got my war drums ready to go. It's important for this story. Karl Rove has declared war on Sarah Palin. They're going to war. They're going to war. Okay, now, why? My guess is it's because Karl Rove is going to work for somebody else in 2012 as a campaign manager. Some rumors are already out about Mitt Romney. We'll see which way Rove goes, but he's not going to work for Sarah Palin, and he is going to work for somebody in 2012. So he's already decided it's time to take her on. Now, Rove has already been getting a lot of heat for not backing Christine O'Donnell. So now there was already beginning to be a cleavage in the Republican Party between the establishment guys, represented by Karl Rove, and the Tea Party people, possibly represented by Sarah Palin. And seeing that cleavage, I guess Rove decided, all right, I'm going to bury the first hatchet in her back. Okay, so if Palin didn't start this, it started today with Karl Rove. He was talking to the Telegraph in the UK, and he said basically that she is not really fit for office, okay, which is a really big blow. All right, now let's give you some of the quotes. He says, with all due candor, appearing on your own reality show on the Discovery Channel, I'm not certain how that fits in the American calculus of that helps me to see you in the Oval Office. Okay, not suitable. That is strong, strong language. And he says, look, she's doing the Discovery show. It's ridiculous. And he even took out a quote from the beginning of the reality show that he says opponents could use against her, which is basically a warning sign of that's what I'm going to use against you when I'm running against you as somebody else's campaign manager. In the beginning of the show, she says in the trailer, I would rather be doing this than in some stuffy old political office, as she's going around Alaska, which I think is a fairly normal thing to say, right? But Rove says, well, I guess you don't want to be in that office, then you shouldn't be in that office. Going to war, man. We're going to war. He's not done yet. Here's another quote from Karl Rove. He says, quote, there are high standards that the American people have for it, meaning the presidency, and they require a certain level of gravitas. And they want to look at the candidate and say, that candidate is doing things that gives me confidence that they are up to the most demanding job in the world. The obvious implication is he thinks Sarah Palin is not up to the demands of that job, that she lacks the gravitas, and that she has not met those high standards. Off the top rope! Okay, now, but we're just getting started, because this is the first shot that's fired. Wait till Sarah Palin fires back, because you think she's going to sit there and take this? Oh no, that Mama Grizzly, she's hungry. Okay, because see, for her, this is great. It's a win-win for her, because I don't think she has a realistic chance at the presidency. I'm not sure she thinks that. The reason she's doing the reality show, even though it might hurt her chances of becoming president, is because the money, Lebowski. And the more attention she gets, the more money she gets for speaking engagements, for books, for reality shows. So Karl Rove fired a shot. She's going to rally all the troops and attack back. They've already started attacking him a little bit on Fox News for O'Donnell, etc. Oh, it's on. Sarah Palin is going to tweet. She's going to Facebook. She's going to go on Fox News. And I'm going to grab a nice, large bucket of popcorn and enjoy the festivities as we get the fireworks back and forth. Okay, now that helps Sarah Palin, like I said, with her notoriety and with making more money. But eventually it's going to hurt the Republicans because it's going to split them in a major, major way. Now it might not happen because we're so close to the election this week. But believe me, if it doesn't happen this week, and I would be surprised if Sarah Palin had that kind of restraint, it will certainly happen after the elections. And that food fight's going to be awesome. So, and ultimately my guess is that this will get resolved in a Tea Party candidate in 2012, not like Sarah Palin, probably much more likely like Jim DeMint, versus an establishment candidate like Mitt Romney, who's been doing all the legwork and going and greasing all the different Republicans throughout the country, doing it the way you're supposed to do. He's playing by the what you might say is the old playbook, and we'll see how that comes out. And of course, who Rove picks is going to be very, very interesting as well, because that'll be a power player. Fun for everybody. Okay. Now, speaking of Tea Party candidates, Christine O'Donnell was doing an interview in Delaware at WELAM on the Rick Jensen show. They were also taping it, videotaping it, and apparently after one of the questions about how she would handle the county budget differently than her Democratic opponent, Chris Coons, she motioned to her spokesman. Now, the article is unclear on how she motioned or what she motioned for. We don't know if it was a lose this interview, we're Audi 5000, or if it was like, help, help, panic time, what do I do? So that's unclear yet. That video will surface, and that will be fantastic. So they panic. They realize it's on video, and they realize she signaled to the spokesperson. So when the interview's over, they tell the station, no, that's it. You're not allowed to run that interview. You're not allowed to run the video of that interview. They're like, what do you mean we're not allowed? You sat for the interview. You knew there was a video camera there. Of course we're going to run it. What does that mean? She's like, oh, yeah? I will sue you. She's like, sue you? Sue me for what? We're broadcasting an interview that you sat down and did? That's crazy. And it turns out the campaign manager, Matt Moran, told WEL that they would, quote, crush the station if they did not, destroy the video. Not just not run the video, but they needed to destroy the video. Otherwise, they were going to get crushed and a huge lawsuit was on their way. No, but look, this is a bigger issue. It's that this little interaction, whatever, it's fun, it's silly, etc., right? But it goes to a mindset, right? The mindset is the press have no rights. If they ask you tough questions, if you're a Tea Party candidate like Joe Miller, you do a fake arrest of them. You handcuff them and you put them in the hallway. They ask you, if you give the wrong answers like Christine O'Donnell, well, you threaten to crush them if they dare to broadcast it. Well, that's un-American. Again, you're missing the whole point of the country. You don't get to do that to the press. What is this, the old Soviet Union? Where if the press doesn't play ball, you either arrest them or you threaten to crush them? Who do you think you are? And that mindset is dangerous. That's the real problem here. Now, luckily, Christine O'Donnell is very likely to lose. Joe Miller, not necessarily going to lose. And all the other Tea Party candidates, not necessarily going to lose. And that mindset coming to Washington in an already radicalized environment, that's bad, bad news. All right, now, one more story for you guys here in this hour. So President Obama, of course, spent the last 2 years reaching out to the Republicans, trying to be the good guy, and it was never good enough. The Boehner and the rest of the Republican leadership said that he was not bipartisan enough, but that they really wanted bipartisanship. If they were in charge, boy, we'd definitely have bipartisanship. In fact, Boehner, in the last summer, said this. He said, all the president's talk of postpartisanship, reaching out and finding common ground, reminds us that the country deserves better than this hyper-partisan speech today. So this hyper-partisanship, when the president is, actually making his case for his side, unacceptable. I know if John Boehner was in charge, there'd be no hyper-partisanship. They'd be compromised all the time and they'd get real legislation passed. Except for the fact that apparently that's not true at all. Because John Boehner said today, quote, this is not a time for compromise. And I can tell you that we will not compromise on our principles. To the extent that the president wants to work with us in terms of our goals, well, we'd welcome his involvement. So in other words, if the Republicans are in charge, bipartisanship. What are you, stupid? Of course we're not going to do that. We're going to do our principles. We're not going to give an inch. And if Obama bows his head and does what we tell him for our goals, then we'll work along. Otherwise, hell no. Is anybody surprised, with the possible exception of Barack Obama? Is anybody? Of course they're going to do that. We knew that from the get-go. But but Washington will turn around when this comes in. The Washington press corps will pretend that the whole idea of bipartisanship never existed. They'll say, well, of course. Now, the Republicans being in the position that they are, obviously they can't compromise. Obviously, they have to fight hard for their principles. When if Obama ever did that, they're like, how dare you? How partisan of you? How hyper-partisan of you? If you think it's just John Boehner, well, you haven't been paying attention. Here's another person in Republican leadership in the House, Mike Pence.
Last week, there was some talk about where Republicans went wrong in the 90s when they had the majority in Congress was they didn't compromise enough. Well, I'm somebody who thinks Republicans didn't just lose their majority in 2006, they lost their way. I think there was altogether too much compromise with the big government, big spending, liberalism of the Washington establishment, and that's why Republicans were shown the door. And what I said was there will be no compromise on ending this era of runaway spending, deficits and debt, no compromise on repealing Obamacare, lock, stock, and barrel. There'll be no compromise on defending the broad mainstream values of the American people in the way that we spend the people's money at home and abroad. On issues that go straight to principle and straight to the concern the American people have on spending and taxes and values, there'll be no compromise.
I love that. When Obama was, and the Democrats were in charge and had large majorities, and the Republicans were a tiny minority, when they didn't even have 40 senators or 41 senators to challenge through a filibuster, that's when they said, oh, come on, we need to compromise. What kind of hyper-partisan wouldn't compromise? Now, did you see the way he said compromise? He's like, there'll be no compromise. No, no, no. Can we get a little bit of compromise on any issue, Congressman Pence?
Hell no, you can't!
So that is what's ahead. I would brag that we told you it was coming, except it was only the most obvious thing in the world. Apparently the only people who didn't realize that was the Obama White House. Well, they're apparently in for a rude surprise in the next 2 years. By the way, you know what? No, Jared, let me squeeze in one other quick story here. Howard Fineman has a piece in Huffington Post here, somewhat related to this. That's why I wanted to squeeze it in. He has good inside sources in Washington. He's been doing this a long time. He asked some of the establishment Democrats, hey, what are you going to do in the lame duck period? After the elections, but before the new Congress sits, when the Democrats still have the big numbers, are you going to push forward some of the progressive legislation you wanted? And the answer was,
hell no, you can't!
Okay. And the Democratic insiders told Fineman, some of the liberals in our caucus are pushing for us to get things done. But, quote, if we lose big, we'll punt, we'll have to. No, no, no. You don't have to. You still have the numbers in those couple of months. You can charge forward. But, of course, you won't because you're a pushover. It takes all the restraint I have to go in that direction instead of the other direction with that pushover word. So, look, God bless the liberals. They want to fight hard. The ones in the liberal caucus among the Democrats in the House. And, of course, the establishment Democrats say, no, we will bow our heads. And we will, even though we have the numerical advantage for a short period of time, we will voluntarily give that up because we are afraid of the Republicans. You get everything you deserve, Young Turks. All right, back on the Young Turks. We have an update on a story for you guys. We have obtained a video. The Christine O'Donnell video has been obtained. This is her interview with WDEL in Delaware, and you're going to see her emotion to her handler, and let's watch it and evaluate.
You're still, $80 to $100 million in the hole.
Okay.
The years that, what would you cut?
I'm running for U.S. Senate.
But what would you cut?
I don't have the budget in front of me.
Okay, well that's the
question.
question.
And nor should I, because I'm not running for county executive. I'm running for U.S. Senate.
But you're criticizing him on running for county executive.
I want to talk about what matters to the Delaware voters.
Yeah.
I want to talk about how we're going to get jobs. I'm not going to debate you, Rick, on whether or not I'm running for county council. I'm running for U.S. Senate.
What I'm doing
Delawareans face the largest tax increase
on your
in
criticism
US history.
of Chris Coons, and it's an honest challenge.
I just said to you.
Okay, so you don't really have the answer what you would do differently.
No, I just gave you my answer. Okay. I would not have created Sweetheart slush funds. I would not have spent money on private casino nights, private catered
But there's still more money to cut, and how would you make us?
And I would look.
How would you make us actually economically feasible in 2014? What?
I'm not running for county council, Rick. I'm running for U.S. Senate. If you'd like to talk about what I would do there, we can continue. If not, then bring on whoever's running for county council this year.
Oh, that was awesome. First, my favorite part was, let's go, okay? That's the sign for we're done with this bullshit, right? This guy's asking me real questions. I can't have it, right? And then when her handler doesn't step in sufficiently after she gets the second question, she like takes him and shoves him in there like, come on, make this stop. The media is asking me questions, make it stop, okay? And look, it goes to the mindset, man. If they get well, look, why don't you just say, hey, listen, here's, my answer, and move on to the next question. What's the end of this, right? They don't understand that if you're going to represent the people, sometimes you have to answer to the people. You're not above them. It's so ironic because Christine O'Donnell is the person who did the I'm you ad. So, and also one other thing, it goes to a larger issue in all of the media. You see, this is how access works. If you don't play ball and you don't ask the questions that they want to hear, well, you lose access. Then you get and we've gotten that on this show. Plenty of times. Sometimes PR people will jump into the middle of our interview and be like, gotta go. So that's how it works. And I got to give Rick Jansen credit there. He's not necessarily on our side, but those are good, tough, legitimate questions, and he didn't stop. Nicely done. I hope that Christine O'Donnell's campaign does not follow through on their threat to crush him and the station. Jesus, man, we live in a democracy. Look it up. Okay. Now, I bring in Casper, the friendly host.
Hi.
We're going to switch gears, and I'm going to tell you goofy stories.
Yes.
Yes! Who said that? Okay. So, documents, that was random. Okay, so I'm driving around town doing errands today, and I ripped one of my suits on one of the corners here of the set, right? And it's a disaster because I have a lot of sports jackets for this show,
right,
but I don't have a lot of full suits because I don't need them, right? Okay, but now because of MSNBC, they make you stand up, I gotta have a suit, right? They need to see my legs.
Right.
So, but I don't have very many suits, and I ripped one of the jackets. So, disaster, right? So I was going to go buy a whole new suit, and Wendy's like, you knucklehead, go get it fixed. And I was like, genius. Okay? So I go to a tailor, and she's like, it's tough for tailors to fix it. You need to go to Ruiwi. She had an accent. Okay, of course. This is a critical one. I'm like, come again? You need to go to Ruiwi. And I was like, and it's so funny because I just watched Modern Family, where they had a whole episode about the former Al Bundy's wife in that. You know how she has that accent. And I was like, all right, I'm going to try this. And I feel bad because I don't want to, I don't want her to feel bad. My dad has an accent. My mom has an accent. I'm like, Wee-wee? She's like, yeah, wee-wee. I'm like, okay, can you, and then I finally figured out, I'm like, can you write it out for me? So like, what's the store's name? Can you write it out for me? And she wrote it out. I was like, oh.
Reweaving?
And I found it, and here it is. Reweaving. Okay. So it was Alex's Reweaver. By the way, I have that's one of the few things I have an accent on. Not an accent, but one of the old vestiges of the fact that English is actually my second language.
Right.
Right. Ben makes fun of me for this all the time. I get my W's and V's screwed up all the time. In fact, I have trouble saying reweaving. Okay, but I was amused by that. All right, then as I'm driving to the Ruiwi place, or I'm walking to it, I ran by a liquor shop that I loved. OK Liquors. And I took a picture of it. There it is. The reason I love that is because it's not great liquors. It's not fantastic liquors. It's just OK Liquors. Hey, you know what? You need more than that? Okay. This is not a great part of town, right? So they're like, we just got OK Liquors over here, you know? Okay. We're not Beverly Hills where they got fancy liquors, okay? So I love that. It made me want to go buy something from inside there.
See? Good name.
See? Because those liquors, they're okay. And then I took one more picture here because I saw one of the ads in the window. And alcohol is so easy. Go ahead and put that up, Jesus. You see the ad there? All it says is indulge. And you know what happened there? It made me want to indulge. I'm like, what am I doing? It's 11 in the morning. It's like, but all of a sudden, this looked like it was fun. Who doesn't want to indulge in OK Liquors? But I had to go to Ruiwi. So I left. By the way, to finish up the wee story, $50. What are you kidding me? I could almost get a new suit for $50.
Oh, so you didn't end up doing it? Yes. No, you make a very good point. Because, here, really quick, and you don't care at all, but maybe some people do. I am going to a wedding, and I have this...
Don't care.
Okay.
I'm playing. Go ahead.
Intimidation. No. All right. I have a wedding to go to next month, and someone handed down a vintage dress, right? And I'm super excited about it. I want to wear it to the wedding, but it's too long. I want to show a little leg.
Yeah, so, you go ahead, girl. Go ahead and touch it.
So I want to go get it shortened, and because of the material of the dress, it's going to cost me $60 to shorten the dress. No. I'm going to buy a new dress.
Oh, but the vintage dress sounds like... See, that's a little different. I think you're being too harsh, because the vintage dress is like...
$60? I mean, I will eventually do it, okay? Eventually when I'm making money.
Okay, by the way, apparently hanging out with 50 Cent and Robert Redford has made us a lot richer.
It hasn't.
Now I'm going to go through the extra pain in the ass of going all the way back to the tailor and say, just do some sort of something, and get it for $10.
No, don't do that, Cenk. They're going to ruin it. You can't go to
What difference does it make? It's already ruined. I can't wear it on TV with like some rip in it, so I'll give it a shot.
But when they reweave it, you're not going to be able to tell that it was ever ripped. That's why you go to a special person. If you go to a tailor,
I know, but it's $50. And second of all, she said with that fabric, now talk about things you don't care about, it actually, you could still see it a little bit. So it's like,
really?
oh.
By the way, where are you getting suits for $50? That's
no,
amazing.
I'm not. But I'm just saying, like, I don't pay that much more than that. It's not like I'm paying $500 for a suit.
Right.
Yeah, JR.
And I don't think you should be conforming to the way these chauvinistic men in society make you feel like you have to show leg. Who the hell do you have to show some leg for?
No.
Don't, you know what? Just don't do it. Women are stronger than that. Just don't do it. Wear a penguin costume or something. Don't conform to that. Don't do it. Just don't do it.
Calm down.
Why have to show leg at a wedding? Why?
Okay.
Why? Are you trying to get one of these single men at weddings? Wedding crashes? What's going on?
You're done.
I thought you were taken.
The dress looks too frumpy because it's too long. I'm not saying I'm going to shorten it where my ass is hanging out. I'm saying I'm going to shorten it where it will be tasteful and beautiful. Okay.
JR.
We had. Were you here for the penguin costume?
No.
Oh, okay.
Who had a penguin costume?
We talked about it in the post game. If you're not a member, too bad. You got to be a member to watch it.
Too bad. Ha ha.
But I do not want to hoe it up for Halloween this year. So
Good for you.
All right. So but JR's all mad at me. He's like.
That's what I said. I'm not mad.
Wait, if you're the penguin, shouldn't you be saying that? So, what, JR, what, you want her to come in a maid outfit or something?
No, that's the thing.
God bless.
This is one of the main veins of the show, bounds of reason. Yes, walking around with your ass out makes no sense. And walking around like you're 5 years old and you have a little trick-or-treat bucket with the orange pumpkin just doesn't make any sense. And that's what she's going for. It just does not make any sense.
All right, Jesus, show the picture. I think it's cute. I think it's fine. Okay?
Okay, and by the way, JR. What are you talking about? It's not even 5-year-old. That's a 5-month-old. No, literally, we're looking at costumes for Prometheus, and a penguin is one of them. We considered it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think we're going to go with teddy bear instead. You guys want to go in matching outfits? No, I'm with JR. This is unacceptable.
Yeah, whenever you have something that goes over your head and all it's showing is your face, it's because you're at such a young age that you're trying to keep warm and you can't do it for yourself and you're dependent on adults.
Yeah. He's trying to keep warm. This is a guy who had Halloweens in St. Louis.
Oh, that's very cute. Okay,
all right, listen.
We got stories. I prepared like an hour worth of stories.
All right, end of this. But look, again, if you're a member, if you like that schmoopy papoopy stuff, I got schmoopy papoopy pictures of Prometheus in Miami, okay, and pictures of the vacation. So fun for everybody. That's for the members. Now let's go.
All right. Since you were talking about accents, I'm going to start with an accent-related story.
Go.
All right. The University of Chicago conducted a study to see whether or not native English speakers discriminate against those who have accents. And the results of the study is that, yes, we do.
Incredibly unsurprised by that.
Right. First of all, I'm not a native English speaker, so I don't discriminate. But, you know.
Oh, really? What, you learned Armenian first?
Yeah, I went to kindergarten not knowing a word of English.
That's amazing. I didn't even know that till this day.
Yeah, that's why sometimes I make...
We're both talk show hosts that are non-native speakers.
See?
Make Republican heads explode all throughout the country. But hey, we learned English.
See?
See?
All right, so what the University of Chicago did is they asked people to judge a person reading a statement, okay? And they judged on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of believability, okay?
Oh, disaster. The Arabs are going to do so poorly.
Well, I don't...
They didn't break it down like that.
Right, they didn't break it down like that. But I want to read you what the results are. On a believability scale of 1 to 10, the statements read by native English speakers were at a 7.5. Okay? And then those with a slight accent were rated at a 6.9. Those with a heavy accent were rated at 6.8.
All right, and by the way, you know who this affects the most? Latinos, okay? I didn't do it, man. Oh, guilty.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Whereas, oh, of course not. I had no part in that crime. Oh. Innocent.
Not guilty.
Totally not guilty.
Okay.
By the way, I, you know, of course I have an intuitive sense of this, which is pretty obvious. So whenever I go to airports, you know, I'm brown skinned, right? I don't want to take any chance. I got a funny name. So as soon as the security looks at my ID, I say, hey, how you doing?
Right, I remember you told me that.
Right.
But, you know, what's interesting is the researchers here claim that discrimination doesn't have anything to do with it. They claim that it has to do with whether or not you can understand the individual. If you can't understand what the individual is saying, then you're less likely to trust him or her.
That's not irrational. So I would say that probably has something to do with it. If you're telling me discrimination has nothing to do with it,
Exactly.
not buying it, right? And, you know, again, we don't know the accents that they tried. And I'm sure that what accent, if they did a study, which they definitely should, of different kind of accents, then we're having fun. Okay, I mean, Ahmed comes in and he's like, I tell you, I didn't talk about it. You see what I'm saying? So, that'll be next time. Okay. All right, cool. What's next?
Wait, but what about a Chinese accent?
Oh, not guilty. He was busy programming.
All right.
Okay.
Let's go. Let's do one more.
Look, you think, you know, I'm kidding around, of course, but you think those stereotypes don't matter? Of course they do. And I can guarantee you if you did a study like that, they wouldn't say these programming, but my rock solid prediction here is different accents would produce, at the very least, slightly different results.
No, I believe that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
And by the way, I'll go a little further. I bet if you did a quote-unquote black accent, inner city accent, right? Urban, they say these days, to be PC. An urban accent, okay? And you did like a blues wasp accent or whatever. Oh, the urban accent's going to get clobbered. It's going to do terrible. I could be wrong. Come on, Stanford, Harvard, UPenn, somebody do an experiment. Go. Yeah. Okay? We're trying to help out here. What's next?
All right. Scientists from UC San Diego and Harvard University have found a gene that will make people predisposed to liberalism.
Excellent. Okay, so new plan is we take that gene and we implant it in everybody. Okay, you know, the thing is, I bet Glenn Beck is already cooking up that conspiracy.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
See, I warned you about the scientists. Let's look at the scientists on the chalkboard, okay? They come up with a lib gene, and they want to spread that like Mao did. Let's put up Mao, okay? And you know who else is a liberal? Barack Obama. Connected to scientists who he doesn't disagree with, and Mao wants to bring an army of libs. We're not going to let him. Grab your guns, grab your gold, and your crisis farm or whatever you got going on, okay? We're coming. All right, that's my guess. All right, tell me more about the story.
So what these scientists found is that most liberals have a gene called DRD4, all right? However, just because you have that gene doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to be a liberal, okay? There's another thing that comes into play, and that's how social you were while you were in high school. So if you have this gene and you were social in high school or as an adolescent, you are more likely to be liberal.
Oh, I mean, look, I don't know if I have DRD4, but it seems like a pretty good chance. And I was social in high school. Oh, I'm lib through the roof. You can't keep up with me. No wonder I'm super lib. All right.
But this is interesting when it comes to the question of nature versus nurture, right? You have this gene that will make you more likely to be liberal, and then also your social setting matters, because if you're social in high school or you're social as an adolescent, you're more likely to be liberal as well.
Right, and you interact with more people, you're more open to differences, you're more open to change. Those are also part of it. And of course, this is just one study. It's not definitive. It's not like, okay, we found it, DRD4, it's over, right? So it's a theory, and it's an interesting one. Did they say why they think that gene might cause liberalism?
No, they didn't get into the nitty-gritty of it. But they say that political affiliation isn't solely based on your social setting.
Right, of course. That's interesting. All right, I'd love to read more about that study. All right, let's take a quick break here and come right back, Young Turks.